Choosing your first mountain bike should be a fun experience. So tune into this episode as we discuss the different kinds of mountain bike and hopefully teach you a few tips and tricks on how to go about and navigate on choosing your first mountain bike. So before we go on any further, I just want to show you the different kinds of travel between different categories of mountain bike. So typically on a cross-country bike, you have 120 millimeters of travel. So this is roughly, of course, 12 centimeters, so almost one ball pen. And then for your all mountain bike, you have between 140 to 160 millimeters of travel, which is 14 to 16 centimeters. So that is more than a ball pen. Next, for enduro mountain bikes, for comparison, which is 160 to 180 millimeters of travel, more often 180 millimeters of travel. That's 18 centimeters, so really that's more than one ball pen. And for the last category, which is a downhill mountain bike, gives you a 200 millimeters of travel. That's almost one ball pen and a half. So that's it. So first up, we're going to discuss the most popular category here in the Philippines, which is the cross-country mountain bike. And most riders started out with a hardtail. A hardtail is the most popular bike because of accessibility and mainly price point. So hardtail can also come in an alloy version or a carbon version, and a wide variety of group sets offering depending on the kind of riding that you do, whether you're an aggressive rider, podium placer, or just a weekend warrior. So a hardtail mountain bike, a good hardtail mountain bike roughly starts 20,000, and a really high-performing hardtail mountain bike, cross-country bike, can set you back up to 100, 150,000. So we have here the Avalanche. This is one of our most popular selling bike. In fact, for 2019, I think this is the #1 selling hardtail mountain bike in RD Cycles. So a hardtail mountain bike basic characteristics are, of course, no suspension here on the rear or on the frame, and suspension is only available on the fork or on the front. So a hardtail mountain bike is ideal for long rides and of course your basic either Nuvali trail or flat trails, and depending on your mountain bike skills, you can also ride more aggressive trails still using a hardtail. As I said, a hardtail for most riders is a go-to or do-it-all mountain bike. Still under the cross-country category, we now have a Lampere XR, which is a full suspension cross-country mountain bike. So it still falls in the cross-country category, mainly because it still has a travel of 100 to 120 millimeters. So for the full suspension cross-country category, you now have an available rear suspension here on the frame right beneath your saddle. So again, full suspension cross-country mountain bike can also come in a carbon variant or an alloy variant. So what we have here is the carbon variant. So a carbon full suspension cross-country mountain bike will roughly set you back around 100 to 150,000 pesos. category in the mountain bike is the all-mountain mountain bike. It's a mouthful, I know. So here we have the Zesty and the Sensor. What a all-mountain mountain bike category is supposed to mean is it's your in-between bike between your cross-country bike and your enduro bike. So if you're not quite sold into enduro riding and you're kind of taken back or held back with your typical cross-country bike, all-mountain bike is the right bike for you. So what it does is, or the basic characteristics of a all-mountain mountain bike are longer travel compared to your cross-country bike, 140 to 160 millimeters front and rear suspension, and more often than not comes with a dropper post most of the time. So an all-mountain can set you back for a budget of between 100 to 200,000. So depending on the trim, whether if it's a carbon variant or alloy version, or if you have higher end group sets or entry-level group sets. So that's the all-mountain mountain bike for you. Now let's talk about enduro mountain bike. Basic characteristics of an enduro mountain bike is, again, more often than not, comes with a dropper post on the seat post and then front and rear suspension, but now offering you longer travel by means of 160 to 180 millimeters of travel. That's a lot of travel built to tackle more aggressive trails or even scale more jumps, so to speak. Of course, being a more aggressive bike, this also comes with a bigger rotor, disc rotor front and rear for more stopping power. So typically, an enduro mountain bike will set you back between 150 to around 300,000. The downhill mountain bike is the last category that we're going to talk about today. So basic characteristics are front and rear suspension still, but now offering a 200 millimeter travel. So what that means is, among all the categories of mountain bikes, a downhill mountain bike has the most suspension travel that it can offer among all bikes. So the front, or the fork on the front, you will notice that it now comes in a dual crown execution. So what that means is it's mounted directly onto the handlebar, give you more stable ride as you come across that downhill path. So this bike is a purposely built mountain bike. So what that means is it's specifically built to go downhill and as fast as possible. A typical downhill mountain bike will set you back around 200 to 300,000. So those are the different categories of mountain bikes. But before I go and before you head out and get your first mountain bike, I'll leave you with 3 things just to think about and probably would really help you choose what kind of bike to get. Number 1, have a budget and be realistic about it. Number 2, ask yourself, where do you see yourself 3 to 6 months? Are you riding more aggressively or just really basically enjoying the trails and going out for a ride with your buddies? Number 3, speaking of buddies, ask yourself or observe where your friends mostly ride. So that, are you riding more trails or more aggressively? Where does your group of friends go every weekend? Stuff like that. So answer those 3 questions, and aside from learning today what kind of mountain bikes are out there to choose from, you'll end up with a more decisive decision and more informed decision. So if you learned something new today, or if you found this video helpful, please do like and share. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.